Hey everybody, we're back on the Swanee River on yet another abandoned bridge. This one is the old Route 90, and it doesn't look like much other than a little, not really well forested area, but this used to be the town of Ellaville back in the day, and it was a thriving, bustling community built around a log mill that George Drews built back in the mid 19th century, and it became the largest log mill in all of Florida. He would go on to become the 12th governor in 1877, I believe. And this town thrived and thrived until, lo and behold, what happened? They cut down all the yellow pines, and therefore the town closed. The post office left. Town went belly up, and now it's a little park, part of the Swanee River State Park system. The Withlacoochee's right up there. They float the logs down. The mill was on that side, and we were on a bridge. Now the guidebook emphatically states that you can find graffiti on this bridge around this area from Ted Bundy. It says in the guidebook, T.R.Bundy 2978, closer to the house on the south end side of the bridge where we are. Well, I have looked and looked and looked and looked, and I cannot find it. So they must have laser eyes, because I certainly don't. And that's what I was thinking. And then lo and behold, here comes a nice state park worker. And then I talked to her for a little bit, and she said, a no uncertain statement, that is not true. People have been saying that for years. Ted Bundy did not leave his little tag here with graffiti. The house over there, you can kind of make it out on the other side of the fence. The rumor was for years that back in the day, that he had kept people there and tortured them. And that was also not true, she said. I'd never even actually heard that rumor. The only thing I knew is that he had kidnapped that girl from middle school, Lake City Middle School. She'd gone to the office because they said she had left her purse there, and then nobody ever saw her again until several weeks later they found her in a hog furrow up here in the Swanee State Park, which is very sad. And then of course she was caught. I remember when they executed him in 1989, we actually had a little party, me and some friends, over at one of their houses, and we cheered and celebrated when the light changed color at the death house up there to Rayford, as a lot of people did, because Ted Bundy was the killer. He was the serial killer back then. And to you youngsters who don't know, Ted Bundy killed a bunch of women. He favored them to have their hair parted in the middle, brunettes. And he started out west in Washington, Utah, and they had him, and he escaped. Not once, not twice. They say 3 times, but I know for twice for sure. And he made his way to Florida, and he went to FSU and went into a sorority house and killed and raped one of the girls, killed another, savagely beat and disfigured 2 other sorority sisters before leaving because headlights appeared and he scared them, I guess. And then he went to just an off-campus house and savagely beat another girl before leaving the area. And he went to Jacksonville and pretended to be a firefighter and tried to abduct the chief of detective's daughter, who almost went with him, but her brother came along and scared him off, and that's what made him backtrack. And he came here to Lake City, and he got that little girl. And one of the things that's so disturbing, there's several things disturbing about Ted Bundy. First and foremost, he was charming. He was educated. He was apparently good looking to women, and so their guards was off because they would think, you know, how bad could this guy be? He seems like a nice guy. And he would fake like he needed help or whatever, and I mean, they really don't know how many women he killed. They do know his little escapade ended down here in Florida. Good no-nonsense state with a death penalty. Probably a little too quick on the gun with it sometimes, but that's just the way it is. And the other thing was he liked to revisit the scenes where he buried his bodies, or so they say, and engage in sex acts with the corpses until either they began to decay so much they're no longer any good, or the animals got to him. Now, I don't know if this is true. If it is, that's even more disturbing. But I'm gonna put to bed for all you hikers to come through. Don't waste your time looking. There is no Ted Bundy literature graffiti on the bridge. There's some old ruins over there. Now there's supposed to be a homestead remnant. There it is. Look at that. Right on cue. Got us some old masonry here. And there you have it. Look at that. The old homestead. There's the fireplace. Big one. Stove holds up there for the mantle. A little bit of old Florida. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and pack up my campsite and head on down to Black Tract. After that, striking west, saying goodbye to our old friend the Swanee. So until then, remember, all who wander are not lost. All who are lost do wander.